It's not about perfection. It's not about how much weight is lifted or how many miles can be ran. It isn't about the wins or losses or even the competition. At the end of the day, it's about you. How you feel about yourself. It's about making progress. It's about pushing yourself and learning just how far you can take it. It's about setting goals and demolishing them. It's about seeing the limits and knowing you are limitless. It's about never giving up and never giving in. Do you have what it takes?
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 Now it's party.
Welcome to Gear TV episode
4.
Episode 4, that's right. I'm Jeff the producer with my co-host Joe Pietaro, editor-in-chief of FitnessRxForMen.com. Joe, welcome back.
Thank you, Jeff.
Joe, you seem to be in like a bit of a foul mood today. What's going on, man?
Not one bit. Doing just peachy.
Just and not everyone likes peaches, but Joe loves peaches, all
Only
types of
with
peaches.
cream.
See, this is the stuff we can't talk about on TV. But what we can talk about is Joe's amazing article, and we touched on it last week in the latest issue of MD titled "First Olympia Dynasty, 4 or More Sandows is the Measuring Stick." I can't say the word sandow. I keep saying sando, like a sand dough. A dough from the sand.
Dough from the sand?
Yeah, I don't know what's wrong with me.
It's close. We know what you meant.
We left off on Phil Heath, of course, winning 2011, 2012, 2013, probably 2014 too, who knows, or unless Dennis has something to say about that. But of course, the next one on the list with 6 Sandow trophies, Arnold Schwarzenegger, okay? Arnold Schwarzenegger is the reason why I even got my interest in bodybuilding, okay? I saw him in Terminator. I saw him walk out with that huge, amazing chest that I thought was completely fake. I thought it was some sort of animation that they put on the screen. And then I went back and, as most people do, you look at Pumping Iron and you realize this guy was just an unbelievable specimen of physical culture back in the 70s and through the 80s and, you know, so on. And you know, I always wanted to have his physique. I always wanted to look like him. The only thing I got close to, I got his facial structure, but that's like about it. I don't have his biceps or his chest or anything else. But
I first came across Arnold seeing Pumping Iron for the first time. You know, obviously he stood out amongst all of them. I'm a big Ferrigno fan because he's from my old neighborhood in Brooklyn. And we all looked up to Lou Ferrigno when we were kids.
Wait a minute, you grew up in Brooklyn?
I'm a Brooklyn kid, yeah.
Did you grow up in Gravesend or?
No, Bensonhurst,
in
Brooklyn.
Bensonhurst?
Yeah.
Oh, that's where you got the accent from.
But in our old neighborhood, right on Bay Parkway and 63rd Street, there was a Ferrigno store where they sold weightlifting equipment. And we used to go in there as kids and hang out. And his brother used to be behind the counter. And we always used to ask, is Lou coming in today? Because we wanted to get an autograph. And there was all pictures of him, the Incredible Hulk, and from Pumping Iron. So
let me ask you a question. So on Old New Utrecht Avenue, underneath the train station, wasn't there Ferrigno's gym?
Yes, there was.
Hey, see, I have a faint memory of that.
McDonald Avenue, actually.
Oh,
where
okay,
that was.
okay.
But same, it's got the L above
He is
it.
from Brooklyn because he's naming Brooklyn streets, authentic Brooklyn streets. So Ferrigno's gym, did you ever actually train there or like walk in or see it?
I was in it, but I never worked out there, though.
I was training at a gym also in Brooklyn called Fifth Avenue Gym, which is no longer around.
Famous gym for years, yeah.
Which was also the gym where Musket Development first filmed Kai Green training, okay? And I was actually in the background of that video, believe it or not, doing shrugs with these Ferrigno weights, okay?
Yeah, oh yeah.
Ferrigno printed plated weights that I had no idea existed until I went to Fifth Avenue Gym. So not only did he make the gym, but he actually customized the plates to like say Ferrigno.
That was like in the store I was telling you about in my old neighborhood. They used to sell the weights in there and the belts and all different things like that. Just equipment, but it was Ferrigno plates, though.
Right. Now, from Pumping Iron, I'll surmise that he didn't really have too good of a relationship with his dad. Did you see his dad around the gym or like around the store much? I
think we may have seen his father Matty once or twice in the store, but usually it was the younger brother that was also in Pumping Iron when they were eating the spaghetti at the table. So that brother used to be the guy that was, and he looked a lot like him, but he was obviously a lot thinner and smaller. And he used to always be be working behind the counter, and we probably drove him nuts. I mean, we were like 10, 11 years old, and we used to go every day, when is he coming in? When's Louis coming in? You know, but we
Big
never
Louis.
saw him, unfortunately, there.
All right, very, very cool. So anyway, getting back to Arnold. So you were a fan of Lou, and obviously, you know, you saw Arnold in Pumping Iron also. So what was it about Arnold that struck you? Yeah, you know, I'm asking the obvious question. Everyone usually says the same thing, but let's hear it from your mouth.
I mean, obviously, it was the charisma he had, the personality. Lou Ferrigno was a quiet guy, and obviously the movie shows that and polarizes that a lot. Arnold was funny. You know, he was cool. I mean, how could you not like a guy like Arnold, especially seeing that movie? And then, you know, then he started to get into the regular, like you said, the Terminator and stuff like that. So it just blew up. So, you know, we were younger. We always liked Arnold. And then when he started going into movies, we had to go see those movies. Like I saw the Terminator in the movies when it first came out. One of the main reasons why, because Arnold was in it.
Yeah.
So I mean, he was always a guy that we flocked to as kids because we said this guy is cool and he's built, and you know, how could you not go in and look at him and want to be like him?
Yeah, Arnold's you know, get the stand out the body parts to me, of course, were the the chest and the arms.
Sure.
But he always had that one bicep that had that incredible peak, and it's just he had like a unique structure that. I guess that as the years went forward, there was a lot of differentiation between the bodybuilding physiques that actually competed on stage versus when you, I guess, get maybe to the late 90s, early 2000 periods. It seemed that all the bodies began to look very similar, but in the 70s, everyone had a very unique look. I mean, even in Pumping Iron, you had three very different physiques. You had Lou, you had Serge and Bray, and you had Arnold, all with different structures, different physiques. You know, it was like pretty easy to say, okay, well, that guy kind of fits the mold. That guy's a little bit off because he's weak here, weak there. And I don't know, like, you know, do you think that there's a difference between the differentiation between the physiques today versus back then?
You hit the nail on the head by using those three that were in the heavyweight division, you know, the tall class at the time it was called. I mean, Serge Nubret looked like he was cut out of stone. I mean, he was, you know, so detailed, and just, you know, the roundness on his shoulders was just amazing. And then obviously Arnold, he had roundness, but he was big, and Lou was like the biggest of the three. So those three guys, and then you look at the short class, Franco, short, squat, big all around, and then you see like Ed Corney and guys like that, and Albert Beckles also was the third place finisher that year, which they don't announce his name, and if you ever speak to Albert Beckles, it's because he wanted to get paid. He didn't get paid.
Oh, wow.
And that's why he was on the cutting room floor for Pumping Iron, and they don't mention his name. You see him on the third place podium when they said Corny, and then Franco wins
the wow.
So yeah, just a little trivia for Pumping Iron when I interviewed Albert Beckles a few years ago. Really good interview, great guy to talk to. So you look at those three guys and you see three different bodies right there as well. So I think, you know, and then today, sure, there is some different bodies, but it's more of a massive look today. So that's kind of where it goes along, where everybody kind of has a similar massive look now.
Right. Now it's like, you know, the biggest, most massive, most ripped guy, and hey, it should always be that, because that's what bodybuilding is, right? Moving along this list, of course, Arnold Schwarzenegger 6. And
six consecutive.
7
total, though.
Okay, 7 total. That's right. 1980 came back, and
Sydney, Australia.
Who came in second that year?
In second that year was Frank Zane, I believe, came in third. I think Mike Menser. Was it
Menser?
Yeah, and Mike Menser said he would never compete again. Right. And Frank Zane told me that Arnold stole his title that year. So.
Well, Menser also stole his title then, because I mean Menser was ahead of him. So
yeah, but I think I mean I could be wrong. It could be flip flopped. I'm not exactly sure. But you know, obviously a lot of people say it's the most controversial Olympia of all time. You know, whatever. I wasn't there, so I don't know.
Some people might say the most controversial one is the one where you know, Flex got outdone by Ronnie Coleman.
That's true as well.
Was that 98 or was it 90?
I believe it might have been 97 or 98. 97, I'm not sure.
Yeah. I was talking to someone about that in the gym today. He was very angry, that guy. So moving along to consecutive Sandows. Make sure that Joe Pietaro says consecutive Sandows in this awesome article titled First Olympia Dynasty. Get it in the latest MD with Dennis Wolf on the cover, written by Joe Pietaro. The next on the list with 6 consecutive Sandow trophies from 1992 to 1997, of course, Dorian Yates. Okay, the first time I saw Dorian, he was in an ad. I'm not sure for which company it was, but it was a ad where it was in black and white, and he was straining, and he looked like an absolute alien freak with veins, and just I've never seen anything like that prior to this ad. Maybe the only thing I can compare it to is seeing Greg Kovacs's arm in that life-size shot. But that wasn't as impressive to me as seeing Dorian, because you knew that what you were getting on that black and white photo was reality. Like, that's this guy. That's how he really trains. Talk about Dorian Yates.
When Dorian first came on the scene, he was the first of the massive guys. And then we're going to get to another guy on the list where he took over the Mr. Olympia from when that person retired. Dorian was that, like, you know, wow, you couldn't believe what you were seeing, how big and grainy he was. And he was also one of the first bodybuilders that I remember having a tattoo. He had the My England tattoo, I believe, on his forearm. So it was he was different, and you could see it was definitely what was the era then changed immediately in more ways than one. And Dorian just was one of those mass monsters, grainy. It was, you know, they called him the Shadow, you know, that was his nickname. So it was like bodybuilding has got a new leader. There's a new guy in town, and his name is Dorian. So he exploded onto the scene when he won that. I mean, yeah, we knew he was coming up, but in the magazines and stuff, we didn't really realize it until, boom, he won that first Sandow. And that there was, you know, after that, history was changed, obviously. Yeah.
You know, after watching Blood and Guts, you know, Dorian's training video, Dorian's iconic training video, you know, to me is one of the greatest bodybuilding training videos of all time, because that's really how this guy trained. And it was a unique style, because prior to that, you know, you read any magazine, you know, pretty much it's 20 sets per body part. It's, you know, you have to do 8 to 12 reps. You know, there was a very specific way to build muscle. Dorian just threw that out the window, comes in, he's using machines, he's using power movements, he's lifting incredibly heavy weights for 6 reps max, okay? And just like blasting the hell out of his body. And it worked for him, and it worked for a lot of people who try it. When that training style came on the scene, was it like a revolutionary thing? Or, you know, can you think of anyone else who trained that way, who actually documented it on video the way that Dorian did?
I mean, I think obviously Dorian, he kind of integrated some powerlifting type of things, big compound movements, heavy weight, lower reps, where it used to be that was the powerlifters had their section of the gym, and then the guys doing the regular bodybuilding things did their, like, there always was that one squat rack where that was the powerlifters section, at least in the gyms that I used to train at. And you kind of left it alone. I think Dorian kind of opened the door for that thing to be kind of comparable to where both guys can do it, both different sets of bodybuilders and powerlifters. You know, that style of training obviously is very different. It's not for everybody, but it will work for Dorian. You know, so if anybody tells you, no, that's the only way you can work out, they have no idea what they're talking about. Sure. And a guy like Dorian proved that. He did stuff that was so, you know, off the beaten path, but how could you argue with success? Right. And you know, my perspective on that is that, you know, I think that a lot of people shied away from heavy training and compound movements because they, you know, they've never actually seen a bodybuilder apply it on video. I think, you know, they thought it might have been like just a lie, or maybe it was just a myth. And everyone believed that you had to follow this incredibly high rep routine. Again, we had Juan Morel in here, you know, for our first show, and he spoke about just incredible amounts of volume, incredible amounts of, you know, reps, and also using heavy weight, versus a guy like Dorian who found, you know, another way to skin that cat. But I think that, you know, Mentor spoke about not as an extreme style as Dorian had, but, you know, a variation of that is what Dorian is essentially using, okay? You know, this just, you know, destroy the muscle with as few sets as possible, with as much intensity as possible, and then get out of the gym for about 7 to 8 days. I think he had like an 8-day split where he actually had either 7 or 8 days total, you know, as opposed to the regular week, you know, whatever it was. I can't really remember. I'm just going off the top of my head, but you know, I just think that, you know, for me personally, that was like a real eye opener to actually see someone do it. Special shout out to a guy named, you might have heard of him, Jimmy the Iron Bull Paletti, who says that he invented power building, okay, which is a combination of bodybuilding and powerlifting. And if you want to see documentation of Jimmy and his lifts, just go to YouTube and search for it. You'll see his crazy 1,000-pound bench press, where he was spotted by, of course, Lou Ferrigno. Wow, not a bad guy to have spotting you. Yeah, exactly, right? Dorian Yates, 6 in a row, and one of the grainiest, hardest, unbelievable Mr. Olympias. Yeah, no, definitely. He was one that I think he won, and that's what we're seeing today. That's what made today's bodybuilding the way it is now, is because of Dorian. That's right. Now, prior to Dorian, the next person on this list who had a reign of 8 consecutive Sandow Trophy, 8 consecutive Mr. Olympia wins. One of my favorite all-time bodybuilders, just because of his attitude, and I think I had his accent just now when I said bodybuilders. Lee Haney, okay?
You talk about aesthetics and you talk about bulk and mass, and just a humble, amazing guy, a family guy, a guy who never made any kind of excuses, consistent. I mean, Lee Haney was one of the best Olympians that ever graced, you know, the stage, the competitive stage.
Yeah, definitely. And he was the one I was alluding to before, obviously, that Dorian, when Lee retired, Dorian won the following year. Lee Haney, he can pull off the vacuum pose still. He had a real, I mean, you know, when I talked to you know, my buddy Greg Valentino, he says that Lee Haney had an ass that was like this big. It was like a small, you know.
What were you staring? Yo, come on. Seriously, Greg, you're staring at his ass? I mean, you know, all of us have to look at you, but you know what? Back then, the glutes weren't even like prominent. Like, you know, he's staring at his ass. I'm looking at everything else about Lee Haney. I mean,
I say it kind of in a jovial way.
No, you know, you see, you're telling the truth.
But no, it is. It's definitely the truth. And Greg will back me up. Greg, text me right now.
I gotta tell you, Lee Haney had a nice ass. I don't know.
Well,
but you compare that to like bodybuilders today, they, you know, I'm not just saying their asses are used, but I think it's because of the crazy amount of squats and their legs and everything on top of that.
And plus, like, you know, the glutes are playing a very huge role because
Bigger
it shows, because specifically it shows how conditioned the person is. I don't think that people, you know, like judges are looking at it, go, oh wow, he has like 6-7 striations in his ass, give him the trophy. Yeah. It has to do with overall conditioning. Sometimes, however, there's certain people out there who advocate building the glutes to a point. Okay, great. You have a great like backside and your hamstrings are peeled and like, you know, you're really shredded. But it's to the detriment of the upper body. When you turn around from the front, you look stringy because you're so incredibly ripped. You know, there has to be a balance there. I think Lee Haney, along with the guy who was knocking on his door for years, of course, who came in second to him multiple times, Rich Gaspari. Okay, talking about a guy who brought in shredded glutes.
He was the first one, I think, that was documented where people said he's got shredded glutes. On the bodybuilder was Rich.
Exactly. And but yeah, I mean, you know, Lee Haney, to me, the thing that stands out, you know, always was that tiny little waist, and exactly talking about the vacuum pose where you suck your lower stomach in and you see the rib cage and everything. But just graceful on stage and like a gentleman off stage. Okay, very important. Like, he, you know, you talk about an ambassador to the sport, a guy who just, you know, he knew how to please the crowd. He knew how to treat people off stage. He was, you know, just an amazing Olympian. Like, you know, when Dorian came along, it was, you know, pretty much like the handing over of the mantle that first year where, you know, Dorian couldn't get him, but he was knocking on the door. Lee is like, okay, you are worthy, you know?
Yeah. I mean, we'll never know, you know, Lee was fairly young when he hung it up.
Right, so, exactly. I mean, that's why to me it was, you know, kind of like, okay, you know what, I think I had my run. There you go.
Changing,
kind of thing.
Yeah, maybe the sports, the way that they're looking at it's different. But Lee, the consummate professional, like you said, he was a great person off the stage and on the stage, trained like an animal. Whenever you read of any of his articles or you see any of the videos, stuff like that, the guy knew what he was doing. He's very smart. Him and Rich Gaspari were very close friends, great rivals. They actually lived together for a little while. Rich stayed with Lee and his wife in his house in Georgia.
Right. That's right.
So he's called Rich the Itch because he was always right there, like an itch. You know, he couldn't get rid of him. Yeah. So and they had great respect for one another. Great battles, 1 and 2 for years in the Olympia. Lee Haney, I mean, obviously we know he's tied for the record, but the thing that really is curious is, could he have went on to win 10? You know, who knows? Right. We'll never know, but an amazing champion at the time, was fantastic and will always be that way.
And I just say tied for the record, and who is he tied with, okay? And this guy, okay, you know, I have favorite bodybuilders. I have bodybuilders who brought me into the sport. I have guys who really stand out. My all-time favorite bodybuilder will always be the next guy on this list. 8-time Mr. Olympia, Ronnie Coleman. Why is Ronnie Coleman my favorite bodybuilder? I'm glad you asked, Joe.
Why is Ronnie Coleman your favorite bodybuilder?
Because he was the one who I actually saw my first contest with, okay? It was in 2002, I think it was. And just again, like this massive guy walking on stage, confident, and, you know, the biceps, the way the back stood out, just everything about this guy put together. His training videos, the most motivational things. I mean, if I didn't feel like training, I pop in any one of, you know, Ronnie Coleman's training videos. I'm ready to do, you know, I'm just ready to hit the gym. I'm ready to, you know, do what, like 1,000 pounds on the deadlift and the bench press and everything. My all-time favorite bodybuilder, Ronnie Coleman. Talk about him.
Ronnie the King Coleman, obviously, like you said, he tied Lee. If his body didn't work against him, I think Ronnie was just so big and trained with such heavy weight that his body couldn't withstand it after all those years, and he had so many injuries. He just had neck surgery again, I believe. I mean, the guy's been, you know, a lot of injuries throughout his career, but his 8 in a row were just unbelievable. A lot of people, you know, some say, oh, it was really close. Jay had, you know, almost had him one year, we thought, and it was really hard for, you know, for bodybuilders even to stand next to a guy like that.
Right.
I mean, he was just immense. His size was ridiculous. He had abs. You know, he didn't have a streamlined waist like Lee Haney, but the sport at that time had evolved where bigger was better, but he still carried it aesthetically. He had, you know, he was... The guy wasn't out of proportion at all. Everything was big on him.
Another thing I like about Ronnie is that every year, you know, he seemed to get a little different. You know, certain years he got better, you know, in terms of, you know, the, you know, I guess his shreddedness, you know, how ripped he got. And then he made these transformations in size that were mind-boggling. From 2003 to 2004, which I think was probably his biggest ever that he ever stepped on stage. Look at pictures of him at the 2004 Mr. Olympia. Unbelievable. I mean, pretty much it was lights out. He walked on stage. There was no, I mean, you could have fit like 2.5 bodybuilders inside of him. Okay. Just, you know, a guy to me who hard work, consistency to the point where, like you said, like he suffered a bunch of injuries, even injuries that he never spoke about. That definitely started to show its face on stage, especially if you look in the lower back area. You know, the last couple of years that he was up there again, 2004 through 2006, he had a couple of surgeries, but even after that, maintained his gas posing, maintained lifting, still made training videos, still goes out there. And you want to talk about talking to the fans? Every Olympia I go to, every Arnold I've ever went to, he has fans lined up down the aisle, to the next aisle, to the back, and every single person he talks to, how you doing? Nice to meet you. What's your name? Like Jay Cutler, you know, both of these guys, again, great for the sport, but I just huge fan of Ronnie Coleman, and you know, it was very fun to watch his run, and I actually had a chance to work with him. I did some of his posing music for his last Olympia, and also for, you know, some recent guest posing. So,
cool, man.
You know, it's kind of nice. You have a chance to work with someone who you admire and follow.
Yeah,
and
sure.
So, but Ronnie Coleman, 8-time Mr. Olympia, and that concludes this list. And you know what? If you don't think it's a good article, well, that's because you haven't read it yet. Right here. That's how it looks, in case you don't know. First Olympia Dynasty. 4 or more Sandals is the measuring stick, written by Joe Pietaro. It is in the Muscular Development issue with Dennis Wolf on the cover. That will be the October 2014 edition. I'm not even sure if it's out on newsstands yet, but we got it. You know why? Because you're Joe Pietaro, and I'm Jeff the producer, and this is Gear TV. Stay tuned. Lots more coming up on Gear TV Live. See you in a minute. It's not about perfection. It's not about how much weight is lifted or how many miles can be ran. It isn't about the wins or losses or even the competition. At the end of the day, it's about you, how you feel about yourself. It's about making progress. It's about pushing yourself and learning just how far you can take it. It's about setting goals and demolishing them. It's about seeing the limits and knowing you are limitless. It's about never giving up and never giving in. Do you have what it takes?
Welcome back to Muscle in the Afternoon on Gear TV. I'm Pete Kacharian. So what's new in the world of bodybuilding? Obviously, with the Olympia coming up, a lot of hype surrounds competitors we may have counted out. And the question as to whether Heath will go on to win his 4th consecutive Sandow continues. With the recent launch of his supplement line, Gifted Nutrition, many are wondering if Heath's eyes are still on the prize and if he's still focusing on the O, or has his new business venture caused him to slacken his prep. We'll find out in just under a month in Vegas. Among Heath, lots of hype has come out about his competition. Who could possibly knock him off his throne? While Kai is clearly the most noted threat, he's consistently been walking away with second place finishes behind Heath and Dennis Wolf's recent success. These, however, aren't the only two potentially stealing the show. Dexter Jackson, a veteran in the sport, previous Mr. O, and top 6 finisher the last 5 years at the Olympia, posted some new progress photos during his prep, showing what is said to be about 10 more pounds of lean muscle to his frame, currently training with Charles Glass. Some say Jackson will cause a major upset this year. However, he's also going to battle it out with another guy everyone wants to see, as Big Ramy is coming into the Olympia huge, sporting 24-inch arms. Let's not forget one man that not many people are talking about, and that's second place Arnold Classic finisher Shawn Rhoden. A stacked lineup at this year's O is an understatement. A Gear TV mention goes out to the late Mike Mazzarato, who we've all learned about his very unfortunate passing. A legend and game changer to our iron sport, Mazzarato was one of the true bodybuilding mass monsters who truly gave his heart and his soul to bodybuilding. As unfortunate as it was to suffer health issues that ultimately led to his passing, Mazzarato achieved what only a handful of men on this planet will ever do. Without question, he's left a legacy behind and will forever be a legend in our sport. That's it for this session of Muscle in the Afternoon, but for now, make sure to check out Gear TV's YouTube channel at youtube.com/GearNutra. Then head over to the Instagram page at Gear Nutraceutical, and of course, visit our website at GearNutra.com. More Gear TV to come with Jeff the Producer right after this.
Welcome back to Gear TV. I'm Jeff the Producer, still here with my co-host Joe Pietaro, Editor-in-Chief of FitnessRxForMen.online.com. With the online.com thing, I keep flipping it, man.
I think they'll know what you're talking about.
It's your Bensonhurst Brooklyn accent's messing me up.
Can't help it, bro. It's there for life.
Our special guest now is an IFBB Pro men's physique competitor, and all this stuff that you see in front of me, this great food, this high-protein peanut butter, high-protein bread, high-protein bagels, high-protein
wraps.
Flats and wraps. Created by none other than IFBB Pro William Sullivan. William, welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me.
I know you as Billy, and everyone calls you William, so I got tongue-tied.
Or Breadman.
Or Breadman.
Brother.
Right.
Like Bob Cicarello says on stage.
So let's start from the very beginning. How did you come up with the idea, obviously, for P28 bread?
Well, actually, the idea came about as actually a joke in the gym. When I met the owners of New York Bakery who helped create the products, I started training them probably about 7 years ago now. And when we first started and they came into the gym, obviously one of the first things you talk about is nutrition. These guys being bakers, having a baker's background, or third generation bakers. Actually, every male in their family is a baker, which is crazy. But going back to the story, so when I first started training them, the first thing I did was try to change the nutrition, try to get them back up to speed, get their metabolism back going. With them guys being bakers, bread is being a huge part of their eating habits. So with me being the personal trainer, I took all those things out. I wanted to strip those out, and I told them, in time we'll add those back in. And they kept, pushing. There's no bread products out there that we can eat, blah, blah, blah. We eat this, fibrous bread and things like that. And I'm like, yeah, actually, get the one that's whole grain with rice in it, and you'll be fine. And I threw it out there as a joke. And these guys went back and they started researching it, and they couldn't find it. They couldn't find anything. So they come back to the gym the next day. They're like, you lied to us, da, 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 da. And I said, well, exactly. Just stick to the plan, and eventually we'll incorporate those things back in, but I want to make sure that you've reached the goals that we set forth. So them guys being business-minded and being bakers and liking bread, they actually went back behind the scenes without me even knowing it and started playing with the different recipes and formulas and things of that nature. And after about 6 months of them actually training and things like that, they invited me into the office. At that time, I was getting ready to compete to go for my second time up for winning the New York State Natural Bodybuilding. I was probably about 3 weeks out from the show. They invite me into the office for coffee and things like that, and just kick it. And they had this huge loaf of bread on the desk on the conference table, and I'm looking at it, and they're like, they knew what they were doing already, and they're like, hey, we want you to try something. We need an outside point of view on what you think of the flavor of this product. So I'm like, I can't eat that. I got to compete in 3 weeks. It's like, how is a little piece gonna hurt you? And I said, well, I eat it so you can eat it, right? And he's like, just try it and let me know what you think. So I tried it. I'm like, what is this? Disgusting. And they're all laughing. And he's like, actually, that's the bread that you told us about. And I'm like, what bread? And he's like, you know, the one with Riceland in it. And I'm like, get out of here. And he's like, yeah. And
so in the first incarnation of this bread, you know, behind your back, these guys actually put it together without any like consultation. They said, you know what, we're actually going to do it.
Yeah, we're going to try to do it.
So, yeah. So like, you know, describe the taste. Was it like paper? Was it cardboard?
It was very pasty.
Yeah. Because like a lot of people try to like incorporate whey isolate, but there's a very specific way to do it. You know, you just can't throw whey isolate into it. There's a way to formulate it. There's different nutrients you have to use. There's timing.
Exactly.
How long did it take you to get from that product to the actual product that's in these
Another
bags?
year and a half.
A year and a half only?
That 6 months got him to that point. And then it took another year and a half to actually go back in to redevelop. Because at that point, they put together what they thought would work. Not knowing what nutrients and things like that would have to really go into it to be put out on the market for us to actually enjoy. But at that point, that's when, you know, we sat down and they said, you know, we were actually able to do it. It's very difficult, but this is, you know, that's when they said, you know, would you like to be a part of this? We want to bring you in, you know, take your expertise within the nutritional side of it and competing, and let us know what, you know, what you would like to see in there, and then we let you know what we can actually do, because baking isn't as easy as we think. And that's when we came to the table and started putting that together.
How long did the whole process take before you had something that you felt comfortable with to put out there?
2 years.
2 years of research and putting in different ingredients.
2 years, yeah, to actually come up with that bread that you actually have sitting there. And we're not done with the developmental stages. I mean, the quality and the flavor and the taste of the product you see right there in front of you is actually complete, but we're always looking to make that better.
What's so interesting is that, you know, when you first brought this bread out a couple of years ago, and when I first tried it, I was expecting something that wasn't going to be pleasant, you know, because you know, I've tried to make, you know, protein muffins or maybe protein cookies, and they all come out the same. You know, the texture is always a little bit either too soft or maybe it's too brittle.
Too dry.
This tastes like bread. Okay, it has a very good flavor to it. And each slice has 14 grams of protein. And the reason why you call it P28 is because in a sandwich, 28 grams of protein.
Out of the 2 slices.
So coming highly from whey protein isolate. Now, why whey protein isolate?
Well, us knowing that that's the cleanest and fast absorbing protein that there is on the market, for one. For two, nobody else out there in the world is actually doing it. So we wanted to create something that, for one, no one else has done, and for two, that you're actually eating a bread product. That was very important to us, because as you know, there's other breads out there that are dry and grainy, and they don't taste like bread. We wanted to give somebody something that they can actually enjoy, and that's what we did with that.
Let's go off topic a little bit. You're an IFBB Pro men's physique competitor.
That's correct.
You won your pro card in 2012 at the Team Universe.
That's correct.
How has your experience been as a pro competitor? Because you do have a background in bodybuilding.
That's correct. It's been a dream come true. I feel that everything has come full circle with actually what I'm doing. I've been competing since I was 6 years old. My father was a middleweight champion boxer, so I grew up, you know, all my life competing against the biggest, the baddest, and the best. And so when I was able to incorporate the business side to actually the fun side, my passionate side of actually competing, it's been a dream come true. I mean, as you know, just coming here today, driving 6 hours to do this, driving back 6 hours tonight, getting up tomorrow, driving 6 hours to Pittsburgh for the North Americans for the next 3 days of a show. That's what I love to do. Anytime I can be a part of something and talk about something, and it's just it doesn't get any better than that.
Your first year as a pro, Billy, you did 11 shows total.
Yeah.
That's a lot of prep. And I'm sure some of them were back-to-back, maybe, you know, a week or so apart.
Yeah.
But how was it like prepping for 11 shows in one calendar year?
It was a dream come true.
Another dream come true for it.
It was. You know, with me, like I said, boxing, we fight weekly. That's what we're used to. Now it's a little bit different, you know, people's fights are more spaced out, but I mean, I fought daily growing up. So one of the things that I actually loved about the MPC was you had that many shows to actually do. So the fun with me, I did 8 shows in 3 months in the MPCs, if you want to go back to my amateur schedule before I actually made it pro. And then from pro, I did those 11, so add that up within a year and a half time span. Wow. That's unheard of. Nobody does that, that I've seen yet. But that's what I like to do. For me, this is a lifestyle. This is who I am. I don't need time to prep. The last show that I did, I prepped 2.5 weeks. I came back from Greece. 2.5 weeks later, I got on the stage at the Tampa Pro, and I looked awesome. I think I was down to like 3.5% body fat. But so this isn't a day-to-day. You know, this isn't a I'm going to get ready for the show 3 months from now. I'm ready in 2 weeks. I'm ready to go at all times, and I think that's what's important within this industry to show what's behind this brand. You know, I'm behind this brand. I stand behind this brand. I stand ready to compete. I stand ready to keep changing this up and introducing new items to you guys with the developmental stages of P28 and what we're doing. That's who I am. That's who P28 is.
And this year you've only done 4, so you kind of, it's almost like you took a lot of time off from them. And I'm saying it facetiously because you did the 11 the year before. You have any other shows that you're looking at this year?
Yeah, I'm going to do the next pro show, which is the October 25th Diana Cadu Classic in Boca. I actually started working with George Farah. It's the first time within my life that I actually put my trust into somebody else in diet and nutrition to gauge me in that manner, because I feel like I've never given myself that full amount of time to prep to really come out the best way that I can. With this year, I didn't compete in as many shows because I was developing new products that we were going to come out with this year. So we're really excited about that, or else I would have went all out like I did last year. I've traveled internationally a lot. We are growing in huge numbers all around the world. You know, like I said, I went to Greece, came back, got ready. Then I just came back from London. I was in London. We just closed 500 Tesco grocery stores out there, who's the largest grocery store chain in the world. And they're putting us in their Nutri Center, which is kind of like the GNC side of it, and their grocery store as well. So we're getting recognized globally, which we're really, really excited about.
A lot of traction, and you know, this stuff should get a lot of traction. Some really good stuff. This is Gear TV. You're hearing from IFBB Pro William Sullivan, creator of P28 High Protein Bread. I'm Jeff, the producer, here with Joe Pietaro. Billy, let me ask you a serious question. During your diet and prep, do you incorporate the P28 foods?
All the time, all the time. I actually look forward to it. At least once a day, I like to incorporate something out of these products during prep, and I eat it all the way up. And when I come off stage, I actually eat a whole loaf of bread. I'm not even gonna lie to you. I'll make 7 sandwiches out of that loaf with each of those flavors and the little mix and matches.
See, I just eat the loaf after working out for the hell of it because I like it. So,
I can do that too, but with prepping, you know, it's very your portion sizes are very important. So I stick to those, no matter during prep or out of prep. I make sure that my portion sizes stay the way they need to. So a lot of times it stays flying all the time, and this just goes hand in hand with it. It's actually a great treat, a great treat.
We're gonna get more into P28 products and how William Sullivan incorporates it into his pro diet for men's physique stage. I am Jeff, the producer, Joe Pietaro, Gear TV Live. Be back in just a second. It's not about perfection. It's not about how much weight is lifted or how many miles can be ran. It isn't about the wins or losses or even the competition. At the end of the day, it's about you, how you feel about yourself. It's about making progress. It's about pushing yourself and learning just how far you can take it. It's about setting goals and demolishing them. It's about seeing the limits and knowing you are limitless. It's about never giving up and never giving in. Do you have what it takes? Welcome back to Gear TV. I'm Jeff, the producer, still here with IFBB Pro, William Sullivan, creator, inventor of P28 high protein bread and spreads, flatbreads, and who knows what else is going to come out with. But you notice he's sitting in the host chair. That's because the editor-in-chief of Fitness RX for Men, Joe Pietaro, had to make it back and take care of some important stuff. Hopefully we'll be seeing P28 in that magazine. Hint, Joe. All right? But so before we went to break, I asked you how you incorporated the foods into your diet. Give me an example of a healthy, high protein meal that could be used with the bread. Make it really simple, make it really quick.
Well, my personal favorite is the French toast. I mean, egg whites, little cinnamon, dunk the bread in there, put it in the pan. You can even go put a little white chocolate on top, a little sugar-free syrup, and you're good to go.
Now, about how many grams of protein are we talking about in that?
Well, that would be probably about 36 grams with the 2 slices and the serving of the white chocolate on top. So that would be actually almost ideal for what I actually eat for my macros in general. But, you know, if you got to incorporate more, sometimes with me, I'm a big carb guy. With the bread being more low carbohydrated, I actually have to incorporate more. Shucks. So that's the great part for me. So I actually go with 3-4 slices at a time when I do my French toast.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, so you're talking, you're like way over 50 grams of protein then.
Per meal.
Which is probably, you know, something that you need to do in order to maintain your muscle mass. And
most definitely.
Most
definitely.
When you do a, you know, let's say like a post-workout meal, okay, would you still incorporate this? You know, you said you spread it out like, you know, over like the course of 6 meals. Would you have this immediately following training?
Most definitely. I mean, the best part of P28 is the convenience of it. You know, a lot of times you're on the road, you're on the go, you're leaving the gym, you know, you have that 45-minute window to get that meal in to make sure that, you know, you're kickstarting and you're feeding the muscles that you just worked. So it's important to get the aminos into the body. The great part about P28 is you're actually getting 8 essential amino acids out of this product, which you don't get in anywhere else. Right. So you're getting a very high quality protein. You're getting your essential amino acids that you can't get in foods, but you can actually get in P28. So that's the great part about that, and the convenience. You know, leaving the gym, if you don't have that meal, you can't make it home in time. You can make a quick P28 sandwich with any of your favorite spreads, and get all the protein, your aminos in right away.
See, this is the way that I would incorporate it, and the way that I have incorporated these products. Okay, when I'm traveling, you know, when I have like one of these long, crazy 18-hour show days, I bring a loaf. Okay, every slice. Okay, it's very important to me that I get you know, especially me. You know, used to see me at the shows like with the little shakers and everything. It's very important for me to get a high quality protein into my system. Okay, now. A lot of the bars out there, I don't touch because I don't like the quality of the whey and where it's coming from. Concentrates and different lower quality. Whey protein isolate, my favorite. I buy it in bulk. I buy it cold filtered whey protein isolate. Anytime that I want an infusion of protein, I don't even have to put anything on this stuff. I just grab a couple of slices. I have 28 grams. Now, I tell people who like to, you know, kind of carry around snacks and stuff like that. They're like, oh, you know, should I buy rice cakes? I go, don't buy rice cakes. You got a whole freaking thing right here. What are you, crazy? So it's like perfect for like traveling and just perfect for just grabbing. And, you know, you have the built-in little carrying case right here with it.
That's it. I mean, I live by and off of this stuff. And, you know, that was one of the main things of, you know, making this product, the convenience of it, the quality of it, because, you know, we have to change the way people think and look at bread products, which isn't easy. You know, we know bread products as being a non-nutrient based food item. Well, we switched that around, and so with doing that, you got to make sure that, for one, the nutrition is there. For 2, the flavor is there. So we captured both of those things, and now you have the convenience of it. So being able to incorporate that into your daily lifestyle of eating is very easy. We made it easy, we made it simple for you. And that's one of our criteria of when we make a new product, we want those criteria to be within that product as well. So we want to make products that you're normally eating on your, you know, where people eat, but they don't have the nutrients to it. So now we want to reformulate that and switch that around. And we're not scared in putting the R&D behind that and to making something that is actually very, very, very good for you. Now,
you know, another essential part of your diet is, of course, essential fatty acids. And then you went on to create the P28 protein spreads, okay, which I had the pleasure of sampling, taste testing. I had all iterations. They're all amazing to me. My favorite is almond butter, as you know. every female out there has to try the white chocolate, okay? Because everyone seems to love it. Anything that says white chocolate P28, go for it. I guarantee you'll love it. Now, why make the protein spreads? Truthfully,
growing up, competing all the time, you know, peanut butter was essential within my household. And as I got more, as I got into nutrition more and got into the protein powders and things, I started actually doing that. Putting the well isolate into the peanut butter, eating it that way, putting it into my oatmeal.
Oh, so you made like a little bit of a, you made like a little pudding type of peanut butter?
Sort of, yeah, or ate it just like that, or made it a complete meal out of it. So when we did the breads, that was already in my mind. It was made up. You know, I was just, you know, but we wanted to finish the bread line before we went into this. Right. And as you know, like, we manufacture our own foods. We don't outsource somebody else to do that for us. Right. So it took time to really, you know, make sure that we put it together the right way. But these were already made. So
you also had the original idea of like saying, I'm going to flavor these things. I'm not just going to put out a peanut butter or like an almond butter, but I'm actually going to flavor them?
Most definitely.
Did you have flavors in your head already? Or did people come to you and say, I need the white chocolate, you know, I need white chocolate or whatever?
I had flavors based off of the whey proteins I was using in the plain peanut butters.
Gotcha.
So yes and no.
Okay.
But yeah.
Yeah. I'll see, and like I've witnessed this several times. They will come to the booth. Mostly you women, you're just infatuated with this stuff. We'll buy 5 and 6 at a time.
It's
as if it's going out of style. As if, you know, I promise they'll make more. He makes plenty. I promise. I've seen him do it.
Well, you know what's crazy is every show we go to, we sell out. So now it's become a fad for people to actually get there right away and buy everything they need before it gets sold out. Right. Because it gets hard to gauge. You know, I just fill my truck up and I hit the road. You know, every weekend I'm somewhere else. And when I sell out, I mean, you know, I apologize. I'm sorry. I feel bad. You know, but I bring everything I can, and it's such a blessing to be able to, you know, develop a great product that people love and to sell out at every show. So, like I said before, all of P28 has been a dream come true, and it's not over. That's for sure.
Absolutely not. Now, I have to go back to the flavoring systems. How do you flavor? Like, what do you use for the sweetening? You know, what do you use for flavor? Is it like a proprietary thing that you came up with?
Well, you know, that takes time to develop, because the flavors to us is very important, and the nutritionals are very important. So all the things that we make are 100% all natural. So we try to go after the most natural things we can to sweeten and flavor our products. It's very important to us.
Do you use any stevia in your products?
There is stevia in there, yep.
Yeah, which is also like a nutritive in itself. It's you know, incredibly healthy. It doesn't mess with your insulin levels, and it's, you know, it adds a significant amount of sweetness to a product, using a very small amount as opposed to artificial stuff.
And we also use raisin juice as well. That's one of the addicting parts of the bread that people don't know about.
You see, that's what it is, because
flavor.
Yeah, there's something about the bread specifically where I can eat the loaf. And don't get me wrong, I love the bagels. I mean, you know, I'm from Brooklyn, so you know, if you're gonna make a bagel, it might as well taste good. Yeah. You can toast these; they taste real, I promise. Yeah. But there's something about the bread, and you're right. It's not, you know, it's not a fruit flavor, but it's definitely a distinct combination of flavors that when you taste it, it's a really nice aftertaste, actually.
Yeah,
and like it makes you want more. So like, is it the raisin juice?
It's the raisin juice. Yeah.
The secret revealed. You know.
Yeah, it's because the raisin juice is actually a shelf life inhibitor as well, so it helps with, you know, preservatives of the bread. So, like I said, we go after the most natural sources, and raisin juice, you know, it was perfect for that.
Let me ask you a question. What was the impetus for the flatbreads? Way back, I actually asked you to make something that was very, very similar to this. You're like, Jeff, what are you talking about? I'm like 3 years ahead of you. And you know, you came out with these flatbreads. And the reason why I like this is because, again, for traveling purposes, you make a quick little wrap of chicken and, like, you know, put whatever foods that you want in there. To me, it's just a no-brainer to make this, okay? And I've seen people be really creative with this and make pizzas out of it.
It's getting, yeah, it's
now,
awesome.
What was the reason for making the flatbread specifically?
Convenience, something different. You know, as you know, with the way that we eat, when you eat very healthy all the time, textures and flavors are very important. So even though all these 3 products are the same within flavor, they're different within texture, and you can do different things with them. So you're getting the same adequate amount of protein and nutrients in them, but you're having it in different ways, which that's all it takes for us, is something a little different. Going from, say, you know, if you had, you know, made a chicken sandwich out of this, but then did a chicken sandwich out of that, it would taste totally different. Right. and it's a mental thing as well. So that was one of the things that we wanted to do was with the flats. Plus, we know that's a big growing market within grocery. So we wanted to incorporate that into our line as well.
So you have the P28 bread, you have the bagels, you have the flats, you have the spreads.
Yep.
What's on the horizon for P28 and Billy Sullivan?
Well, the next thing we're going to do is actually a pancake waffle mix.
Look at that.
It's actually done. We did it in 3 flavors. One is, I'll let you guys know, is the white chocolate.
Beautiful.
And there is the real sugar-free white chocolate chips that will be in the pancake.
White chocolate chips?
Yeah, in the pancake. And
Instant
the flavor,
sellout.
yeah, the flavor is unreal. And we want to definitely, because white chocolate is our biggest money maker, and it's what people love the best, the biggest flavor that people like.
Billy, it tastes incredible. That's why I asked you, like I'm trying to get a little bit of a hint here. As you know, you're at the Gear Studios, I don't want to steal some of your ideas, Well,
we as people know, like I post all the time, pictures of when we're making the products and stuff, and we use the real white chocolate chips in there. I posted that online, actually, so people can see that. There's no gimmicks behind this. It's 100% real ingredients, as nutritious as possible, and that's what we do. So that's what we want to go after.
Where can people purchase P28 products?
At p28foods.com. They can follow us at p28foods on Instagram. My Instagram is at breadmanp28.
And what's coming next for you? You said, competing is probably out of the question for the rest of the year. You're taking a little bit of a break.
No, I'm going to do October 25th, Diana Kadu's show. Like I said, I'm working with George Farah for that.
Right.
The first time in my career that I actually am working with somebody nutrition-wise. So I'm really looking forward to that.
George Farah, working with him. Why George Farah?
Well, he's actually an hour away from me. And I see him at all the shows. Obviously, he's prepping the biggest names in the business. But when I talk with George, there's just a passion about what he does. He doesn't do it. He does it because he loves to do it. And that's what I like about him. And he's always right there. So it just seemed to fit and work perfectly for me. So I'm really looking forward to that. I actually put on some good quality size already, just in the 2 weeks that I've actually started eating and following what he's given me. So I'm looking forward to that.
Have you altered your training style at all? Are you lifting heavier or?
No, my training style is very intense, very high rep. It can go anywhere from 8 to 30 reps. I train like I'm fighting. It's nonstop, hard, the whole time I'm in there. And anybody will tell you when they train with me, and it's just different. Like a switch goes off and I'm a totally different person.
I actually witnessed that firsthand when we did the true filming video for Muscle Development. This guy, 100-pound dumbbell curls, okay? And I asked him. He asked me what it was that he wanted me to do. I said, well, what do you want to do? He goes, I want to curl the hundreds. I go, okay. So he looks at the hundreds. He's curling them up. He's doing them. He puts them down. I said, oh, so when was the last time he did that? He said, never. And I said, you got to be kidding. And he goes, I already did it before I picked up the dumbbells. And I said, no, that's it. You know what? This guy's going to be a champion. And you've done so many shows in like a consecutive time period. You have the boxing background. Are you gonna ever go back to that, like roots of?
I'm very close. Actually, before I started competing, I was actually going to get into the MMA. A good close friend of mine, he produces his own MMA shows, and we sponsor all the shows in upstate New York. I sponsor a bunch of different fighters, UFC, Bellator, and below. So that's a huge passion of mine. Watching people, just the whole development from getting ready for the fight to after the fight. Anybody that I see that's passionate about what they do, regardless of any sport, I like to help out if I can. And you'll talk to tons of different athletes that are in the industry that I can name actually that, they've had sponsors with companies and they were right there getting ready to win their pro card and they just had no money left in their budget, and I said, I got you. Wow. And I've done that with numerous people, and it shows. They show me so much love back, and that's just me. That's just P28 as a company. We're very passionate about what we do. So anything passionate, I like to help out in.
Well, the passion does come through in the products. I mean, these are quality products. They're excellent. There's plenty of stuff out there that I've tried. These are definitely my favorite products when it comes to real foods, to incorporate, you know, high quality protein, high quality nutrients that you can actually put into your diet when you're a hard training bodybuilder, fitness enthusiast, or just a regular everyday person. You want to increase your protein intake, you don't have to change the way you eat. Just change the foods that you incorporate. P28 high protein bread. Look for it, search for it on Google, look for it online. IFBB Pro, William Sullivan, thanks for coming on.
Oh, my pleasure.
Gear TV, I'm Jeff the producer. See you in just a minute. It's not about perfection. It's not about how much weight is lifted or how many miles can be ran. It isn't about the wins or losses or even the competition. At the end of the day, it's about you, how you feel about yourself. It's about making progress. It's about pushing yourself and learning just how far you can take it. It's about setting goals and demolishing them. It's about seeing the limits and knowing you are limitless. It's about never giving up and never giving in. Do you have what it takes? Welcome back to Gear TV Live. I am Jeff the producer, and I am no longer in the studio with my co-host Joe Pietaro, editor-in-chief of Fitness RX because he had a lot of work to do. So he left. Why? Because he's putting together Gerard Butler lookalike covers in magazines. Now it's time for our athlete segment, IFBB Pro. Lindsay Waters down in Florida has a special recipe for us this week. Lindsay, how's it going?
Hey guys, hi Jeff. Lindsay here with another cooking tip, I guess you could say. Those of you that are on low-carb diets or can't really have too much bread or whatever your situation is with your diet, you can still have wraps. You just have to find something else to make it with. Now, most people think you can use like lettuce to make like lettuce wraps. But there's something better that I found, and it's these. They're called nori wraps, and you probably recognize these from sushi. Take one of these out so you can see what it looks like. So they come in sheets like this, and one sheet is only 10 calories, 1 gram of carb, 1 gram of protein. There's no sugar, there's no fat, so basically it's like 3 calories, and there's a gram of protein in it. So what's really good about this is that it's a sea plant, and it provides iodine. And the thing about iodine is that it supports your thyroid, which we all know your thyroid regulates your metabolism, and it's something that a lot of us don't get enough of. And it's something that you can get in like sea salt, but you have to be careful because a lot of salt, if you look on the back of the label, it says it does not provide the mineral iodine. So why are we even eating it? So make sure you check that. So if you're worried about your sodium content and are still trying to get that mineral, look to get the nori wraps. I actually made sushi myself with this. It's on my Instagram, and I put white rice and some fish in it, and I rolled it up. I cut them up in like 4 squares, so I made like these little sushi rolls. But you can put anything in here. You can put like, you know, chicken, beef, put some like carrots in there, red pepper. But yeah, these are great, and they're crunchy too. So yeah, that's my little cooking tip of the week. Back to you guys.
Thanks a lot, Lindsay. Now we're going to head over to IFBB Pro, an Olympia-bound competitor, 212 competitor Aaron Clark, to give us an update on his Olympia prep. Less than 4 weeks away. Aaron, how's the prep going?
What's up, Jeff? It's going well. I can't complain. I feel good, considering that I'm 3.5 weeks out. In terms of since my last update when I talked to you guys, I can't say that much has changed. It's just been kind of a slow, another pound and a half or so down, probably 2 pounds down. So just slow and steady. I'll probably drop another 5 to 6 pounds, and then I know that I'm holding water right now too, so that will also come out and to make weight. So either that or I'll have to choose which limb I use the least and chop it off. But we'll be there on stage, weighing 212. The diet right now is pretty much the same. Just trying to kind of pace myself. Sometimes when I get in the mentality of making a weight and I start focusing on losing weight, I can just, the weight will just start falling off. So I'm just trying to take it slow and still get the most out of my workouts so I stay full and kind of retain that density as I drop the last amount of weight I have to do for the show. The one thing I'm going to be focusing on a lot in these next few weeks is my posing, which is very important last few weeks, just so you don't pass out on stage, or you have to be conditioned and know how to display your physique. And that's not necessarily just a fancy routine. It can just be your mandatories. But if you put all that hard work into your body and you diet and you train and you dot your I's and cross your T's and you don't know how to display your physique, then you'll never really achieve what you want in terms of competing. So you really need to learn your strengths, your weaknesses, and how to display that. So that's something that I'm going to really focus on here. Other than that, just finalizing some plans in terms of all my travel and stuff, and just taking it day by day. I'll turn 26 before the show, but we'll wait to celebrate that till after the Olympia, because I won't make weight if I have cake. But yeah, I'm really excited, and I'm really excited that I have a following of all you fans to be, keeping me honest and following my progress. And I hope I can motivate you as you all motivate me to keep pushing myself. So thanks again, and stay tuned, and I'll keep up with these updates. And yeah, keep training hard, everyone. And back to you, Jeff.
Thanks a lot, Aaron. Now we head over to NPC bikini competitor Kat Textoris, who is making her run for her IFBB Pro card, where, of course, at the 2014 IFBB North American Championships. Kat, how's the prep going? You're just a few days out. How are things looking for you?
Hey, Jeff. How are you? Yeah, I'm 3 days away from North Americans. Feeling depleted, actually. But that's good. That's the good thing. I get to eat more food tomorrow. I'm going to start cutting water kind of early. I'm holding a little bit more than normal, but other than that, feeling pretty good. I'm ready. This past weekend, I went to the posing clinic that I had mentioned last week. It was really helpful, and I think I got my posing down pat. Also, this weekend I got to go to Miami for a photo shoot with Alan from Ellie's GFX. We shot all day Sunday. It was so much fun, and we had so many different outfits and settings, and it was hot, but it was fun, and Alan made it a great experience. Hopefully the pictures are going to be featured in Fitness Girls coming soon, so fingers crossed for that. Alright guys, so the next time I'll be speaking with you will be after the North Americans. We'll have a full recap of the weekend. And now back to you, Jeff.
Thanks a lot, Kat, and thank you to IFBB pros Aaron Clark and Lindsay Waters for giving us an athlete update this week. And of course, earlier in the show, we had on IFBB pro William Sullivan, the creator of P28 high protein breads. You got to check out their products. Really amazing stuff. There's no excuse now. I mean, if you're used to having sandwiches, bread, peanut butter even, for all you ladies who love peanut butter, and don't lie, because we know that you don't just eat one serving. You eat about 12 servings, and you buy 12 things in them, and we see you at like the shows. You know, you'll go to the booth, you're like, oh, I like the almond, oh, I like the white chocolate, oh, I like this, I like that, and then you end up buying 12 of them. You tell your boyfriend, your husband or something that, I only want 2, then you end up eating 3 jars of this stuff. So don't lie, but it's okay because it's P28. Just try to come back up the series a little bit. That does it for this week's show. I am Jeff the producer. This has been Gear TV Live. Until next week, see you soon.